it's time to get serious. Ultra serious. We've got our first, shall we say, rant topic. Yes. But Adam, Pud, what would you have to rant about? Well, what can everyone rant about who owns a bike? That one purchase, or numerous purchases, you've got to make when buying a bike, that everyone has to make. A bike chain, bike locks, basically anything security related, because the whole premise of why you've got to buy it pisses me off. So this rant isn't about security devices, of course. This is a rant about the little fucks that cause you to buy security devices. Bike thieves. Oh man. Now I think we can all agree bike thieves are what we would refer to as the scum of the earth. Smelly, scrawny, little knobends. Go on, mate. Who think stealing someone else's essentially pride and joy for money, for scrap, whatever they decide to do it for, it's never okay, is it? Although me personally, I've never had a bike stolen and I've never felt that pain. I know people who have, and my dad has definitely been accustomed to a few attempts. It's also made us alter the way we look after the bikes, you know. I'll tell you the story basically. So, not long after I got my bike, this bitch, my dad got his bigger bitch, his CB500F. It's a delicious looking bike. We didn't really have much storage for it, so it had to be kept at the end of the drive, sort of sandwiched between a wall and the car, until maybe it had the bike 2 months. Some what were definitely opportunists. It was under a cover as well, by the way. Some opportunists took it upon themselves to try and nab the bike. What the dumb fucks didn't realise was that there is a Ring doorbell camera pointing right at the bike that is motion detecting, which then sends a notification to my dad's phone, which loudly wakes him up. Not only that, there is also CCTV over the house pointing right at where they were. So not long after they tried, because the bike was ground anchored as well, but they were obviously going around that night trying to nab bikes because they had some small bolt cutters, and it just so happens that the window closest to where the bike was stored is my parents' bedroom. So the Ring doorbell went off, so it awoke my mother and father. Not long after waking my mother and father, my mum got up to check the bikes. She looked up, she goes, well, that's weird, the bike cover's off, because my dad's got a waterproof Oxford cover. The bike cover was off, but it was a very windy night, so she was like, oh, that's weird, your bike cover's off, and they sort of just pinned it down to, oh, there's no one about, the wind's picked up, maybe that's it. Anyway, whilst she turns around and looks at my dad to tell him that, things changed. Whoa. And as soon as she looked back, literally, she must have turned around for 10 seconds. As soon as she looked back, there was already one little scroty, filthy knobhead leant over the back of the bike with the bolt cutters about to try and cut the thick ass chain that obviously went through the bike frame or wheel and the ground anchor. So instantly she banged on the window and she was like, why? And obviously they both shit themselves, little pricks. So they rung the police and did all that jizz. Got absolutely nothing from it. The police knew of the guys, they think, because the 3 lads that they suspected it could be, they went round to their addresses and they knew that they owned a bike, these lads, who had been obviously notorious for it. Went to all 3 addresses, none of the 3 lads were in, and the bike wasn't there. So I think that tells you all you need to know about which shitheads did it. But obviously nothing came of that, no arrest, no nothing. Well, not that we know of. My dad was like, right, I'm going to have to up security because, you know, they could have, if we hadn't woken up in that time, they could have snipped that, you know, if the bolt cutters had worked. They could have snipped that and been off with it in no time. Can I? I'm going to fit, I'm going to make it fit. So back to the story. We move on. 2 months after this shit's tried it, my dad had bought another brand new ground anchor, so it was double ground anchored with the bike still under the cover, ring doorbell, CCTV all still in action, until I think it was just before Christmas, maybe, I can't remember. Take 2. Whether it were the same guys, I don't know. But the second time, they tried it again. This time, the bolt cutters were twice as big, so would have definitely got through the chain. Foiled again, by my dad, I think this time, had seen them, because again, ring doorbell, cover were off, fucking idiots. But this time there weren't 2 of them. There was 5 of them. 5 lads, all in balaclavas, came to try and rob the bike. So they tried it on, but the scary thing is they loitered around the house while people were still awake, and the idiots waited until the light had gone off and then a minute later tried to rob the bike. It's like, just because the light's gone off don't mean everyone inside's just suddenly passed out. So obviously the high IQ people that decide to steal bikes thought, oh yeah, they're asleep now. Shut up, bitch. Obviously they weren't asleep, and their plan got foiled once again. Again, the police were rung, but this time the police said, look, there's been a few bike thefts. My honest opinion is you just do not leave the bike out there. And honestly, the only option was for my dad to bring his bike that he commuted on. Some could say if he didn't have the car as a backup, his livelihood, because that's how he'd get to and from work. You see, you little bike fucks, it's not just stealing a bike that you affect. Yeah, it's not just the actual bike. So if I ever caught someone stealing a bike, yeah, who knows what'd happen? Who knows? I think it's fair to say they deserve shooting. What do you reckon? So unfortunately, my dad had to move his bike to my house, where my garage is, into the garage securely, which meant he couldn't use the bike. And I think he's ridden it once or twice in the last however many months. But we're being stubborn, you know. We ain't gonna let little shits like that ruin this for us, because he's not had a bike for quite a while, probably about a decade, now more than a decade I think, and he finally decided to get one so me and him can go out riding. And we're going to be stubborn like the Yorkshiremen that we are, and we're not giving him. And if they want to keep trying, we'll start planting stuff. Bear traps is the first idea. I think that'd be really good, a concealed bear trap. It's like, oh, I'm going to steal that bike. I could make, what, 1,500 quid on that bike because of the age of it. But instead, we're going to take a bit of a discount of your leg. Bit of interest. We'll keep your foot and your ankle, and you can crawl off with a bear-trapped leg. Yeah? I know you can also get those bike locks that, if they try and angle grind through them, release like a chemical vomit gas, which would be so funny. Can you imagine going on Ring Doorbell and watching someone with an angle grinder go at your lock? I think I'd leave them to it. I think I'd leave them to it until they, you know, got into that membrane, and just watch them cough and puke. And in fact, as they start coughing and stuff, because they won't be able to run away effectively, I'd go outside and then I'd start laughing them and kick them, because they fucking deserve it. Yeah, they absolutely deserve it. There's nothing I hate more than bike thieves. Nothing I hate more. You see constantly as well, bike stolen here, bike stolen here, bike stolen here, bike stolen here. And I bet you 90% of bikers have had a bike stolen. I'm fortunate enough that, you know, I've had the garage and things like that. I've had that facility, which I don't anymore, unfortunately. So I'm now in that sort of ball game of, is it going to get nicked? Is it not? Whenever you leave it anywhere, like I do physio, I always worry, is my bike going to be there when I come out? Even if you go into shops, you know, it's always something on the back of your mind, isn't it? Hey up, get this rusty bitch. But yeah, we're taking a stand against bike thieves. And if it got stolen, I'd go Vigilante, me. I wouldn't just leave it to police. Go Vigilante. Take your baseball bat, wait out late at night. I guarantee if you sit out in not even that rough of an area late at night, or sit out in Bradford, let's just say, late at night, you will see a scooter or a dirt bike or whatever fly up the road with 1 or 2 lads in balaclavas, and you know that they're up to something. It'll usually be 2. We did it the other night. We were out late. It wasn't even that late, actually, I don't think. And they're just lads in balaclavas. You know, like 3 or 4 of them, and then police chasing them around. It's honestly, it's an absolute joke. Hey up, lad. Hey up, brethren! Yes, mate. This is why you get a bike. This is simply why you get a bike. So please, let's be creative in the comments. What would you do if you got a bike thief? I have been tempted. You know, if they're about, go out and you see them razzing down the street on the dirt bike, balaclavaed up and that. Just launch a stick or something, or launch a baseball bat at front wheel. Watch them both fly off. Because there's no helmets. There's no gear. See you, bitches. See you in the next life. Maybe you can steal people's livelihoods there. Oh, I'm wound up now. I wasn't even that wound up, and I was like, what can I talk about today? I'll talk about bike thieves. It's a rant I've wanted to have, but now I'm wound up. Now I'm like, ugh, I need to find them. Popular YouTuber Pudmoto in prison for biker theft. No, not for biker theft. For bike thieving. I don't know. Can you incriminate yourself on YouTube? Maybe. Like if you openly like say, oh, I would do this to someone. Is that incriminating yourself? I don't really know. I mean, I've already said that I'll bear trap them. Honestly, honest joke. I might actually start putting like a, you know, like those mini metal baseball bats you can get. Might put one in my bag, you know, so that if anyone tried it while I were out and about. Because I've heard, you know, when I bought this, the guy at that shop was saying that he was just riding his MT-07 or MT-09, I think, through Yeadon by Leeds Bradford Airport. He said a group of bikers, a group of bike thieves came up waving a hammer at him basically to give the bike over. But he were on an MT-09, so all they did was twist the throttle and they couldn't keep up. But on this thing, like, I'd have no chance, would I? Realistically, no chance. But anyway, that was my take on bike. Hopefully there's a bike thief in that. That's my take on bike thieves. Oh, I'm wound up now. Fuck bike thieves. Right, this pissed off puddling bids you adieu. See you, bitches.